You're watching Next Pitch, the student athlete playbook for parents raising tomorrow's athletes.
Hi, Anthony Leverett's here, host of the Next Pitch podcast, and on behalf of my Emmy Award-winning producer, Jason Cardona, we are thrilled today to have the two high school quarterbacks from the two high schools from the town that I live in, Lake Oswego, Oregon. Hudson Curlin, senior quarterback, just committed to Washington State University, and Drew Weiler, who has not committed yet, but is in the process of going through the recruiting process and is remarkable. Both of them remarkable young guys. Really enjoyed talking to them, was super impressed by how polished they both are, and the schools that end up getting them to come to play for them are going to be very fortunate universities to have them on their campus. I hope you enjoy the conversation as much as I did. And without further ado, here we go. Anthony Leverett's here, host of the Next Pitch podcast, and thank you for joining us today. And I am, what a treat today. I've got the two starting quarterbacks from the Lake Oswego School District, Drew Weiler from Lake Ridge High School, and Hudson Curlin from Lake Oswego High School. Fellas, thank you so much for taking time out of camp and your time to join me today. I'm thrilled to have you.
Yeah, thank you for having us on.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
So when did you two meet? I know this is your rivals now. We're going to get into that rivalry at the end of this today, but when did you guys have known each other for a long time. When did that start?
Yeah.
So third grade, I think.
Yeah, it was third grade. We put on the same basketball team, AAU team together. Yeah, PDX Ballers. So that was a lot of fun. I met Joe and Drew on the same team. Yeah. So yeah, we met third grade, played basketball for a while together, and then we started competing in football, and then I guess we've just always stayed friends ever since.
Yeah.
So, Drew, when you first started in athletics, was that the third grade? Is that when you first got involved?
In sports in general?
In any sports in general, or did you start before then?
No, I've been playing sports since like 4 years old, but third grade was when I first went to AAU basketball.
Okay.
And Hudson was on the team, and actually Robbie Long was on that team too.
Okay.
Another quarterback that was on the team. So yeah, it was just a bunch of cool guys on that team, and yeah, it was fun.
Hudson, when you first started, were you in that same? You started like at 4 years old, or did you get third grade, fourth grade? When did you get entered into this whole sports arena?
Oh yeah, I was definitely the same with same thing as Drew. So my dad wanted me to play as early as possible, so he put me into flag football when I was like 3 or 4 years old, and then just been my whole year's been jam packed with sports, so like soccer, baseball, basketball, football. So I was doing it all at a young age. And then when I got to third grade is when I started to just like narrow it down. So my two main sports were definitely basketball, lacrosse, or three main sports, were basketball, lacrosse, and football. And then, that's kind of where it took off.
Drew, you don't play other sports anymore, correct? You were a basketball guy until, I want to say, your sophomore year was your last year you played. Is that correct?
I stopped playing my freshman year.
Your freshman year.
Yeah, but I might come back this year.
You might come back and do it. How playing all those other sports at a young age, we'll start with you, Drew. What do you feel like they've helped you with as you're playing quarterback and hopefully moving on to the collegiate level? Like, what did playing all of those other sports do for you?
I think like all the stuff translates. So especially for learning how to throw a football, like boxing, like that'll translate because it's weight momentum. Swinging a baseball bat, like everything you're doing from a young age is going to translate to sports you play later in life. So like developing skills in basic sports like soccer and basketball and all these team sports too, like it all comes together to like build you as the perfect athlete for whatever sport you're going to play.
Hudson, in the sort of, you played so many different ones, like just like a lot of athletes. How did the kind of getting different friend groups or different social environments with all the different sports, did you find yourself meeting different kinds of people through playing those different sports as you were growing up?
Oh yeah, definitely. And especially playing like club sports, it kind of takes you outside of just your home school that you're usually playing for, which is like the same guys. So yeah, definitely playing AAU basketball was great because I got to meet so many guys from so many different parts of the state. And I still have long lasting friendships from those teams, just like Braylon Gaines from Nelson, and then Drew from Lake Ridge, Joe from Lake Ridge, just guys all over the state. So it's been really helpful just keeping these relationships with guys that we've played sports with for so long. And that's definitely what playing a lot of different sports at a young age kind of helped with, was just broadening out and knowing a bunch of different people.
So let's talk about leadership. We got a bunch of topics to dive in here today, but everybody talks about leadership at that quarterback position, right? Everybody, you guys touch the ball on every single play, and everybody looks to you for that leadership, whether it's high school, college, professional. How do you think about, and Hudson, we'll start with you on this one. How do you think about your role as a leader on your team? What is that responsibility like, and how do you navigate that process?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Just as a quarterback, you're known as the leader of the team, the captain of the team. So yeah, it's a big responsibility and a big role that you have to play, but it's very, very important. So the way I navigate it is just lead by example. So if I'm doing anything, in the weight room, on the field, in the classroom, in the community, is just always be a leader. So that's kind of what you gotta always be thinking about throughout the day and when you're out in life. And yeah, lead by example. So get on guys if they're acting up, and you gotta always be on your best behavior. And it's a big thing for a quarterback because you're the guy that the guys rally around. So if stuff isn't going your way, everyone's gonna look to you, and you gotta be able to rally the troops and keep everybody's heads on straight. And yeah, you're the guy, so you just gotta lead by example. I think that's the biggest thing.
Drew, you're high school coach, and to say that Lake Oswego's two head football coaches, both at Lake Ridge and at Lake Oswego, are qualified to be high school coaches would be understatement. It's pretty remarkable with Coach Corey and Spencer over at Lake Ridge. What as you've kind of been mentored by Spencer, coach in the NFL, how has he talked to you about that leadership role within that position that you play, and kind of the characteristics of being a leader within your team?
Yeah, for sure. I would say definitely lead by example, like what Hudson said, because there's so many like classes under you that when you're gone, you have to set up a foundation for them to be successful. So like classroom, weight room, whatever it is, you got to be doing a+ job at everything. And then just staying positive, like especially kids at our age, they don't want to hear this like negative harping on them when they do something wrong. You got to lift them up. So Spencer and my coach Art have said like you want 5 times more positive talk than negative. So say they did something wrong, you might nag on them one time, but the next 5 things they got to be positive. So just keeping everybody like together and not bickering at each other, because when times get hard, if team crashes at each other, then you're never going to win. But just keep everybody positive.
I love those answers. I told kids, and I talk to my son Kyler about this a lot. How you start a sentence goes a long way to how that message is going to be received. And if I start a sentence with you, one of you guys, you just made threw an interception or made the wrong read, and God damn it, whatever comes out of my mouth next, you're in defensive mode, right? But if I start with, hey man, your drop was great. I know you saw something and it wasn't the right read, but we got to figure out what you saw there, and let's move on so we can learn from that. That message is going to be received so much different from coach to player, and the same thing from player to player, right? Like that, being able to deliver a message that person receives, not just one that you give, right? Like that's that communication and that leadership skill.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of coaches, what Drew, and I'll start with you. What your relationship with your coach and communicating, do you feel comfortable being able to go to your coach? I think I know the answer to this, and have conversations with him on the field about what you're seeing, about what's going on. And how does he manage that with you to give you that platform to be able to do that?
Yeah, so we have this thing, I think it's called like Huddle Assist or whatever it's called, and it gives you like film the play, and while you're on the sideline, it'll show you the last drive's plays. And so we'll go huddle up next to it and look at it, and I'll talk through what I'm seeing, and he'll talk through what he's seeing. And usually it matches up, but obviously sometimes I make mistakes. And so he helps me out like in game, in time with what I can do better for the next drive and cues that I can look for on the defense for explosive plays and all that stuff.
Hudson, how important is trust with your coaches? I'm sure you trust them. You got great people, but having that trust to be able to have that open line of communication, that you trust they have your best interest, they trust you that you're going to go out there and work your ass off and do your best. How do you feel about that whole trust component with your coaches, and then how that translates to your team?
Oh yeah, I think trust is one of the biggest things you can have with a relationship with your coaching staff. That's definitely the biggest thing is trust. So being able to have a mutual line of trust is great because it just keeps everybody honest, and it's how you get the best out of everybody. And being able to trust your coaches, that they trust you and they trust your abilities, and they trust that what you're doing out in the field is just making the best plays. That's one of the biggest things, definitely, as a quarterback, is having a coach that trusts you. And yeah, because you're the one that's touching the ball every single play, so them trusting you to do the right thing with the ball is definitely a big confidence booster. And yeah, definitely a huge thing, or good thing to have with your coaches.
So processing is such a big part of playing the position you guys play, right? Like you get a play call later on, and maybe you guys are doing it now. You might get 2 play calls at once, and you get to the line of scrimmage. You got to read the defense. You got to be able to then make sure you're in the right play, right formation, that everybody knows what you're doing. Drew, give me an example, and I'm going to go down a rabbit hole here, but give me an example of a play call that might come in. Give me a long one that is something that you would get from the sideline.
All right, so say you got like you're in like a trio set, so you're in like a 3-by-1 bunch, and you have like a play action pass called, and you see at the start you see 2 safeties, so you're thinking maybe it's too high, it could be cover 4, but then you see 5, you see 7 on the line, so now you're thinking it might be 0. So now you're probably not staying in that play action, because if you're in 0 against play action, you're probably going to get rocked. So now you're checking out to a run play or a quick screen. So like there's just so much stuff. You're looking at cornerback alignment. You're looking at linebacker alignment. You're looking at which gaps might be open. You're looking at the techniques of the D-line. So, I mean, there's a lot that goes on in this 25, 40 seconds before the play. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. Hudson, give me an example of a play call. Like I think Kyler came home yesterday. I think it was HN trips right, trot poker QX choice or something like that. Give me an example of a play call that's gonna come into from the sideline.
Yeah, so one of those might be we'll go bunch right echo, burger left, Z Ranger. So that's kind of one of our bigger play calls. And yeah, it's just a lot going on, but we separated so that each position on the field only needs to know 1 or 2 words in that. So it makes it easier for everybody else. But then obviously for the quarterback, you got to be able to memorize the whole entire play and know each and every word and the order of it. That's also a big thing, is the order of which the words are coming at you. And then, yeah, same thing with Drew, is definitely just got to, I think 90% of executing a play is pre-snap. So, getting hints from the defense, getting your cues, how many high safeties are there? Are you getting pressure? What's happening boundary side, what's happening field side? So, yeah, there's a lot that goes on before a play, but I think that's definitely the most important thing is cueing what's happening before a play and kind of narrowing down your options. So that's like the biggest thing.
So it's a lot of pressure playing that position, right? Like you just said it, Hudson, each person in that, on your team, or each position on your team only needs to know one of that portion of that play, right? You guys got to know all of it, and you got to make sure that you communicate it, and then you got to make sure that you execute it. And if you don't execute it, it's going to be on you. Like there's other guys are going to make mistakes and they're going to get taught, but ultimately you guys are the leader of that deal. How do you manage that pressure on a daily basis? And is it something that you just love, or is it just part of the job? Do you thrive on that pressure? And I want to deal with that, is what's driven you to want to play this position, or how do you deal with that?
I think if you don't love dealing with that pressure, then you're probably not a great quarterback, because that's like signing up for quarterback. You know, you're going to always be in the spotlight. You know, whenever stuff's going wrong, you're going to be blamed for it. So I think if you're going into it not knowing that's what you're signing up for, and that's not something you're going to make your life, then it's probably not for you. So I think both Hudson and I have like adapted to like the lifestyle of playing quarterback, and it's something that we genuinely love and pursue every day.
Hudson, same thing for you. You just love it. You thrive on it.
Yeah. Just to piggyback off Drew, me and him have been playing the position for a very long time. And back in the youth days, like stress is a big thing for quarterbacks. And yeah, I just remember I've always wanted to play quarterback. It's been a dream of mine to be a quarterback and play collegiately and maybe even further. But yeah, stress is something you have to be able to conquer. And I feel like me and him have done that at a very young age, and now we're just so used to it. So it really helps. But yeah, quarterback's one of those positions. It's high risk, high reward. You know, you're going to be blamed if you lose a game, and if you win a game, everyone's going to be praising you. So yeah, that's just what comes with the job. And I'm probably speaking for Drew too, but yeah, we love this, so that's why we do it.
So mental health is a big conversation in sports now, right? It should have been for a long time, and it's gotten to a place where I actually think that we're having meaningful conversations. The Lake Oswego guy, Kevin Love, has a foundation that's all about mental health and helping young people deal with it in their sport. What advice, obviously you're not mental health professionals, so I got to say that on the front end, but what advice do you give kids that are, in that third, fourth, fifth, sixth grade, and maybe not playing quarterback, but there's pressure of all different kinds when you're in sports, pressure from the outside, pressure internally, pressure from your friend group. What kind of advice would you give a young person on how to handle all of the stress that's coming through social media, that's coming from their sport, like everything that a kid goes through? What advice would you give a young person and their families as they're navigating this journey that you guys are getting close to being done with the high school portion of it?
For me, I would say, like, especially at a younger age, the biggest thing is just have fun. That's what sports are meant to be. They're meant to be fun. They're meant to keep kids active. And as you get older, obviously it becomes more of like a job and becomes more stressful, and you're wondering what everybody's thinking about you. But at a young age, it should really just be focused on, like, obviously getting better. Like, how can I be the best in my sport? But how can I do this while still having the best time of my life? Because really, youth and high school sports is the best time of your life. No one ever forgets it. So just enjoy it, make it last.
Yeah, same thing as Drew. Is definitely just make it fun. So yeah, sports are definitely meant to be fun. And one tool I use, and I've used this for a very long time, it's kind of a tool my dad taught me a while back, is I'll like third, fourth grade before a big game, I'd tell my dad, I'm stressed, like I'm nervous. And he would tell me, turn that into excitement. It's like, you're not stressed, you're excited. Like, it's a good thing to be stressed. So I always harness that, that feeling of nervousness or stress, and I just turn it into excitement, or just like motivation. It means I really want this, I care about it. So I use that as kind of a tool I use. So that helps a lot.
Hudson, you brought up talk about family here. You brought up your dad as part of your development and chatting with you. How much has your family been a part of your growth and your process and what you've gone through? And what are the good or bad that they have provided to you through this process?
Yeah, so my dad has always been my head coach for every single sport I've played, all through youth, and a little bit through youth and middle school, and he was also coach in high school for a brief time. But just being the son of the head coach all through your childhood, it's an amazing blessing to have, but also at sometimes I know me and you were talking about this earlier, it can be it's just different because he's extra hard on you, and at times frustrated with it, but in the end, it was all love, and he's the one that's pushing me to get better every single day. Yeah, he's been probably the biggest role in my development as an athlete. Yeah, he wakes me up early in the morning. We get workouts in. We go to the field. We throw the ball around. If I can't get a receiver to come to the field with me, he puts on the gloves and he's catching the ball for me. So yeah, my dad is definitely my number one supporter, and so is the rest of my family. My mom is amazing too. She's the keystone part of the family. So yeah, I love her, and she's definitely a huge part of my development too.
I was talking to my son about this, and having been a college coach for 19 years and then delving into the youth sports world, I'm not a big yeller and screamer, and I was so much harder on my own kids when I coached my daughter, and then when I coached my son, I was harder. I never yelled at anybody else, and I found myself yelling at my son. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with me? And for parents out there trying to find that balance of, yeah, you want to not make it look like you're being too easy on your kid because you don't want to be daddy ball, but you also want to make sure that your own kid doesn't have a horrible experience because you take it to the extreme on the other end. And I was guilty of that. Fortunately, my son pointed it out for me, and I was able to make it. My wife helped me understand it as well. But it's a big thing for parents, because we have to have parents coach in youth sports, right? We just don't have the ability to have professional coaches coaching young people, and making sure parents are understanding that impact, both positive and negative, they can have. Drew, I know your experience is pretty unique, man. You're a triplet. Your brother covers your blind side as your right tackle, since you're a lefty. Your sister is a really, really good athlete, multi-sport athlete as well. And then your older sister was a good basketball player too. And then you tragically lost your dad in the 8th grade. What sort of impact did that have on you? And did your coaches, did your family, having sports as part of your life, how did that help you? Not that you ever get through something like that, but how did that help you navigate that really deep trauma that you experienced unexpectedly?
Yeah, I think sports, and then obviously football for me was like, it was my outlet. So, whatever I was feeling, like I could go lift weights, I could go work out, I could go throw the football, and that was something for me to like take my mind off of all the things going on in my life. And then I would just say, like, for family and coaches, like obviously, like my mom has been super helpful, and then we've had to like be the same for her. And then probably like my biggest supporter is my brother Joe. He's always like hyping me up for whatever. And yeah, it's like a great experience to have. And then coaching, like Coach Spencer, Coach Art, Coach Brink, like everybody in the Lake Ridge community has been like super positive and like filling that void as like a father figure. And so all these coaches have just been like super positive male experiences in my life, and couldn't be more grateful for that.
I want to kind of drill down on this a little bit. I think, obviously your experience is, is extreme in what happened, right? But the kids show up every single day to practice having lives before they get to practice.
Yeah.
And it could be, don't know where the meal is, mom and dad are fighting, not enough money. Like there's all sorts of stuff that people bring to the field, the gym, wherever you're participating. How important is it, and both of you can chime in on this, how important is it that your coaches take the time to dig into you, find out what's going on with you, be that balance for you when you may have had a terrible day and nobody knows that you show up and what you brought with you is impacting you?
Yeah, I mean, it's super important, especially in high school football. Like, all these guys see themselves, they're like, I'm this super tough guy. I don't want to show my emotions. I don't want to let people in on what I'm going through. But like all these coaches want is for us to become the best, like male version of ourselves we can, and the best person. And like, if you're not being open and honest with your coaches, then like that can't happen. So I think it's a two-way street. Obviously, like you have to be open and the coaches have to be willing to help you out, because that's kind of what they sign up for.
Hudson, go ahead. You were going to say something too there.
Yeah. I definitely think your football team is your family away from your family. It's just a second family. So I know Coach Corey's biggest thing that he's kind of try to rub off on us is just be comfortable saying I love you to like anybody. Like it doesn't just have to be your family. So every day at practice, he'll pull aside each player and he'll just say like, "Hey man, I love you," and he just wants to pick your brain, just know more about you, know what's going on at home, how you're doing, how's your day. And I think that's a great thing that Coach Corey has been doing since I've been at LO and since my dad's been at LO. Yeah, my dad played for Coach Corey back in 92 to 96.
That's
So
crazy.
yeah. So he's even before I was at LO, my dad would just tell me stories about Coach Corey. You know, he's just an amazing guy. He would tell other guys he loved them, and my dad was like, he's never heard anything like that from a high school coach, especially at that time. So Coach Corey's a special guy, and I think he really does the coaching job right. And what he's teaching kids and us at a young age is incredible. So yeah.
Drew, you have a bunch of that going on in your program as well, right? Spencer does the same thing.
Yeah, so he kind of lives by this thing saying you don't have to like everybody, but you have to love everybody. So you don't necessarily have to like be this person's best friend. You don't have to love what they do, but you got to have love for them. So we have this thing called Appreciation Tuesday. And after practice, we all go up to everybody and say, "I love you," just getting comfortable with like saying you appreciate someone for like what they're doing and making sure they're seen. So yeah.
It is such an important thing, especially for young guys in this world, to be able to let people know that you love them. And just that, it's one of the reasons why my son is going to be going to Lake Oswego High School, and I'd be happy with him at Lake Ridge too, but we live in Lake Oswego on the LO side. So just being able to have that kind of mentorship from guys like that who've been doing it at the level that they've been doing it means a lot to young people. And no matter what happens with your football careers, you're going to have they will have had a huge impact, not just on you guys, but on all 65 or 100 or how many other guys are in your program because of learning how to manage that.
Yeah, 100%.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a pretty special thing. And for coaches out there, coaching both men and women, just remembering that you're dealing with young people. You're not dealing with just athletes, you're dealing with people. And people show up with emotions and things that have happened to them, and being able to express, first of all, that you care about them, and second of all, teaching them how to express that back to you and to their teammates is one of those lessons that sports should be teaching young folks. All right, let's talk about recruiting. I know you guys are both you're both Division I guys. Both big, strong, physical dudes, talented at what you do, and both of you are at different phases right now in your recruiting process. Hudson, let's start with you on this one. Recently committed to Washington State University. Congratulations, by the way. My wife was pretty happy. That's her alma mater, so she played basketball there. Pretty excited about that. What was that process like for you? And ultimately, for a kid who's in that process right now, a family that's in that process right now, from your perspective and your family's perspective, what should they be looking for? What questions should they be asking about that fit? And why did you end up making the decision to go to Washington State?
Yeah, thank you, just to start off with. And then, yeah, I think definitely the biggest thing in recruiting for me, well, coming into recruiting, I was totally blind. Me and my family were totally blind. We've never done this before. I've never had an older brother that was being recruited for football. So yeah, there was a lot of unexpected. So I kind of had to surround myself with guys that have kind of been in the game for a long time and know the whole story and campaign with recruiting. So Coach Corey was a huge help. Coach Nick Hallberg, my OC, was a really big help. Coach Joe Moore, my trainer, was a massive help. And yeah, kind of picking brains of other guys that have gone through this process was a huge thing. So yeah, definitely learning how, like, little tips on how to go through this process was huge. And then I think social media was a really big part of it too. So just staying super active on Twitter is huge. Just putting new things out every single day, if it's little comments or little highlight reels or whatever you can, I think that's a huge thing. But I think the biggest thing with recruiting and finding the best school is ask a ton of questions. So at junior days or on visits, ask a ton of questions. You want to know your coach. Like I said previously, it's the biggest thing with finding the right place is having that level of trust that you can have with a coach. So that was the determining factor for me with Washington State was I trusted the coaches and they trusted me, and the bond that I felt with that coaching staff there with Coach Rogers and Coach Freund was unlike any other school that I've got to visit or got to talk to. So that was the big deal breaker with Wazoo, was definitely the coaching staff and the long previous alumni of great quarterbacks that have come out of that program. So that was the biggest thing for me.
Drew, for you, you're in the middle of the process right now, still haven't committed. What are you going through right now? What's your process? What are you looking for, and kind of explain your recruiting process here?
Yeah, so definitely slower than Hudson's at the moment right now, but just a lot of coaches like texting me, asking for videos, like all that stuff. Right now, I'm not too worried about it because I got to focus on the season, and obviously, like the biggest thing about getting to the next level is like your film speaks. So, if you go out and have a great season, then you're not going to be too worried about the recruiting process, which I think is like the biggest thing for parents and kids to understand is like off season. Yeah, it's good to like worry about and look at like the recruiting stuff, but once season hits, the season hits, and you need to have all of your energy on school and sports and not worrying about recruiting, because if you're worried about recruiting, then your performance is going to take a hit. But yeah, it's just a lot of coaches texting. They want that like first 4-week highlight of the senior year. So yeah, just got to go play good and see what happens from there.
You will. Such a great dude. Whatever is supposed to be will be, but you're talented, and what's your GPA? What are you, 4.7 or some crazy shit like that? Like what is your GPA?
4.3.
Okay, so you've got Ivy Leagues, I assume the Ivies, and along with other schools that are in the mix with you right now, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Do you even know what's the highest GPA someone can have coming out of high school?
Probably like a 5.
You can have a 5?
I think so.
Is anybody ever had a 5, or is that just theoretically possible to have a 5?
Yeah, you'd have to take all AP classes and get A's in all of them.
That doesn't sound like very much fun.
Yeah, not a good school life balance.
So, Drew, we'll start with you on this mentorship. You've talked about, some of the people that that are important to you in your life. How important has that mentorship been for you, and what is the importance for you now of playing that back, right? Like what of mentoring other young people and knowing what that meant to you from some of the coaches that you've had, some of the former players that you've dealt with, and how do you feel? What kind of responsibility do you feel to pay that back to the game and to the kids that are coming behind you?
Yeah, 100%. I've already hit on like the Spencer, like kind of showing me the ropes. My freshman year, when I was playing quarterback here, Ryan Oliver was the senior quarterback, and he kind of took me under his wing, and he kind of showed me everything. He like taught me how to watch film correctly and how to depict defenses, and he taught me a lot that I'll always be grateful for. And now I feel like it's my job to teach like these younger quarterbacks in the Lake Ridge community like how to play quarterback at a high level. So yeah, just kind of like passing down the torch. It's kind of how it goes, and just keeping the Lake Ridge legacy going.
How do you feel about that, Hudson? I know it's my son has experienced it. Drew was great when you first met Kyler when he was really young, but now being involved in your program and kind of the legacy of all the quarterbacks that have come through that place, it's pretty crazy. How do you feel about that that responsibility? How important were mentors to you? And then and you mentioned it's some in your recruiting, but then kind of that feeling. And I really believe this is so important. The sport gave me so much in my life. Pretty much every good thing I have currently came from some involvement in athletics. How do you feel about paying that back?
Yeah, that's a huge thing. That's one of Coach Corey's biggest things is just tradition and having a family and building for the future. So yeah, I remember my freshman sophomore year, I looked up to the guys in front of me, the older guys, and just wanted to pick their brain and know everything about their position and how they go through the whole process as an upperclassman. So that was a huge thing for me with my time at Sunset High School, my freshman sophomore year. And then I just remember being a little youth guy, 3rd or 4th grade, and I'd go to like the high school camps, and all the guys coaching the camps were the big high school guys. And I just remember looking up to them and thinking they were like some superstars, like celebrities. So, and now that I'm one of those older guys coaching the youth camps, I got to remember, like, I feel like that same little kid, but I got to remember that I'm kind of like, we're all role models now. So yeah, it's a good feeling. So just giving back to the youth, and yeah, especially Kyler. Like, I know in the off season, I definitely want to work out with him, and even now, just being able to talk to him and try to take him under my wing, and because I know he's going to be a great quarterback for Ella's future. So
Well, you don't need that. I wasn't trying to get you to say that. That's for sure. He's going to earn his own way. But being a dad, having coached and and now being a dad of a kid who has big dreams, I can tell you how important those relationships are to him. And Drew, for you, just even when we talk about you, he remembers throwing the ball on your back patio on the dock that day, and how in awe he was that he was throwing a football with Drew Weiler. Like, those kinds of things really matter. Hudson, your relationship with him really matters. And I think for the point that I want to make for young guys out there that are your age and older, like the sport needs guys like you to be able to pass what you've learned down to the next group. And hopefully that process always continues, because it makes for better people, not just better quarterbacks. It makes for better people. Something to aspire to is really important. And having you guys have it be important to you really matters.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, now we're going to get into some time to talk some shit. So, we've got the Duke North Carolina rivalry, right? We've got the Oregon State rival. We got the Holy War in Utah that I was a part of, the Utah BYU, and we've got the battle for the lake. And not nobody, but people in Oregon know how big this deal is. People that live in that 45,000 town of Lake Oswego know how big this deal is. We talk about being friends, but also wanting to win the lake for your senior year. It's kind of what I know. There's more important things. Maybe winning state championships and conference titles matter, but that the rivalry within your town, how important is that to you guys? How much fun is that to have that be, your last game of the season, and what are you looking for? And feel free to talk some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm relatively new to this rivalry because I transferred to LO last year, my junior year. But the moment in my junior year last year when we got done with that, I forget which game it was before the Lakers week, but yeah, Monday coming into school on that Lakers week, it was a different mentality all throughout the school, and you could definitely just feel that by the energy. And then we come to practice after school, and Coach Corey just gives a massive speech, just the history of the rivalry. And yeah, like, I got goosebumps, man. So yeah, I definitely was introduced to the rivalry, and I feel it definitely. So I think it's definitely a big part of this town, and it's a town. It's kind of like a holiday here in Lake Oswego. So, like, the whole town, transit stadiums, and it's just so much fun. But yeah, I mean, all you want to do is beat the other team. But so that's the only week of the whole year where me and Drew aren't going to be friends. But yeah, so yeah, it's all love.
Yeah.
Drew, you grew up with it, right? You grew up going to probably your first memories of football, probably, or Autzen Stadium when you were little, and then Lake Oswego, Lake Ridge football games. What does it mean to you to have a rivalry like that?
It's fun at the end of the day. Like, you grow up watching these games, and you don't really understand, like, the adrenaline rush until you're actually playing in the game. I just remember, like, last year, it was kind of shitty weather. It was like pouring, but it was still like the most fun game I'd ever played in. Just, you get a battle with, like, the kids that you've grown up with your whole life on your side, and then kids you've grown up with on the other side too. So it's like, it's almost like a Thanksgiving bowl. Like, you're just playing with a bunch of your friends, and you're going and hitting everybody. Obviously, it's a lot more serious than that, but it really is like a second to none experience playing with everybody you've grown up with your whole life.
Well, having not grown up in it and having experienced rivalry at I was at Utah, that was a pretty crazy That Utah BYU thing's pretty nuts. But seeing how cool it is for the community here. Hopefully every high school kid gets to experience something close and similar to what that feels like for you guys. And it's on Halloween this year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
You want to make any predictions on who's going to win that game and any scores, any predictions, or am I going to get you guys both in trouble by asking these questions?
I think you know our respective opinions.
We're gonna have to agree to disagree on this one.
Yeah.
I know for sure it's not going to end in a tie. It's not going to end in a tie. What'd you say, Drew?
I said we'll agree it'll be a good game.
That's great. All right. Well, guys, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on. I've enjoyed the conversation. We do two things with every guest at the end of the show, and one of the things I really like to do is and Drew, I'll start with you on this. If you could go back in time, and I think I know what you're going to say, but I could be wrong. But go back to your 8, 9, 10-year-old self and give yourself advice about the student athlete journey that you're going to make up to this point. What advice would you be able to give yourself if you went and tapped yourself on your little kid's shoulder?
I think it would be two things. The first thing would be kind of like I said earlier, just have fun. Like, don't stress over the little things when you're playing sports, especially at that age. Like, there's so much more to life than being worried about the level you're playing at. So just have fun. And then also the biggest thing, and I would keep this to this day, is savor all the moments you get. Like, you're not going to have everything forever. And my case, I didn't get to play football with my dad in high school. So I had to savor all those moments before high school. And I think kids need to realize you don't have sports forever. And you don't have sports with the people you want forever. So while you have those available, make sure to cherish those moments, because it really is the best time of your life.
That's great. Hudson?
Yeah, 100% agree with Drew on this one. I would definitely say, yeah, have fun and trust the process. I just remember being a youth guy, and I was looking forward to man, I can't wait till I'm in high school. I really want to be in high school. I can't wait for that big boy ball. But yeah, and then I remember just when I started freshman year, I was just yeah, you just think man, I wish I could have had that 8th grade season back one more time. Wish I could have done this differently. So I just think, yeah, savor every moment and enjoy the process. So the same thing goes in high school. My freshman year, I just couldn't wait to be a senior and upperclassman. And now that I'm here, I just wish I could turn back the clock and do this all one more time. So I would tell the younger Hudson just to sit back, have fun, enjoy the process, and savor every moment.
It's great advice. All right, Hudson, you can go first on this one. I'm a huge dad joke guy. So I need your best dad joke. I'm going to do my best not to laugh, but that's not possible. I laugh at every one of these things. So go ahead. You're first.
Okay. Yeah. The only one that comes to mind is knock knock.
Who's there?
Interrupting Cal.
Interrupting Cal. Who? I've heard that one and I love it. It's one of the greatest of all time. It's never going to get old, even with our little lag we had right there.
Yeah.
All right, Drew, what do you got?
I don't know why I only know 25 letters in the alphabet. It's probably because I don't know why.
Well, fellas, thank you for taking the time to do this. I can't wait to watch you both play this year. And Hudson, best of luck to you. Beyond it at Washington State, and Drew, I know for sure great things are coming your way. It's taking a little longer, but it's definitely gonna happen. And can't tell you how much I appreciate you both taking time out of your day to join us.
Of course. Thank you for having us.
Much. Yeah, appreciate it.
Great job, guys.
Thank you.
Anthony Leverett's here, host of the Next Pitch podcast, and just finished up my conversation with Drew Weiler and Hudson Kurland, and holy cow, they were impressive young dudes. Obviously really good football players, but even better guys, and had a ton of stuff that we covered. And a big one is that really resonated with me is how they think about leadership. And both of them came from lead by example first. And I think that's a really important thing for young people who want to lead and old people who want to lead. If you're going to ask someone to do something with you, for you, be a part of something special that you want to get done, you better show up and set a great example of what you want that to look at. They also both talked about how to deliver a message, and starting with positivity really, really matters. And I thought Drew made a great point of talking about, if you're going to say something negative, the next 5 things out of your mouth to that person better be positive. And I always talk about starting your sentences in a positive way, but I really like Drew's point as well. You can't be perfect all the time. So if you do have something negative come out of your mouth as a leader, really try for the next set of times that you talk to that same person or that group of people to have something positive come out of your mouth. The other thing we talked about was that I liked a lot was process and recruiting, and how they both are going through the process in a little bit different way, different timing. But when the season comes and time to play, you got to stop thinking about that and just be in the moment and go through a process of getting yourself ready to play. And then your film and your play will take care of the rest. If you're just worried about what's going to happen in your recruiting process, you're not going to be able to focus on doing the things that have gotten you recruited and are going to continue to get you to be recruited. And then last part of this today that I really, really liked is it's mental health, but it's coach player relationship, and coaches understanding that kids bring problems with them, baggage with them to practice, and understanding that there's a mental side, whether it's mental health or emotional wellness. Kids are showing up in a to your gym, to your field, bringing things with them. And both of these programs, and I think coaches can take a lesson from this, make their kids tell each other that they love them, love each other, and the coaches tell them that they love them. They make them speak with gratitude about their teammates, and they train them that you don't have to like everyone, you don't have to be best friends with everybody, but you have to have love for someone that's part of your group. And I think it is such an important thing for all athletes, but young men especially, to be able to learn at a young age. And those two programs are doing it well, and it has obviously had a major impact on both Hudson and Drew. Again, hope you enjoyed this podcast. Hope you enjoy what we're doing. If you do like what we're doing, would love for you to share the podcast with a friend. That's the best way to grow this, is by recommending somebody else to listen to it. Like us, send us a message, let us know, give us some feedback, and just help us continue to grow this thing. On behalf of my partner, producer, Emmy award-winning producer, Jason Cardona, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.